Hi guys, it's Curvy Lexie and I'm back at you today with a new video. So today we will discuss about a topic that is very close to my heart because we are going to talk about my journey and especially the 49 days shredded plan that I just completed. So as some of you already know, since I mentioned it in my videos, I was actually on a 7 weeks program that I started about 7 weeks, so mid-February, and today is actually my last day. So I would like to give you a full recap about it and give you a few advice on how I completed it. But if it's the first time that you are actually on my channel or visiting, or actually if you came from my Instagram, just in case, let me remind you a few things. So my name is Alexia, I am French and Italian, and I'm also a plus size blogger. I've been in the UK for 13 years and I've been doing blogging, vlogging and all of this for about 3 years plus now. So my topic are mostly about plus size fashion, but also about health and fitness, especially obviously for plus size women, since this is the way I look. But I'm also here to actually show that you can be big, beautiful and healthy, and that actually it's not only for athletic people that you should be able to have a healthy lifestyle. So this is what my channel is about today, and what I want to talk about is actually my shredded plan, because as I explained you a few weeks ago, I decided that I wanted to put my health back on track more than I've been doing for the past 7 years and lose about 2 stone and a half. I have decided to do it for myself. I wanted to be clear because I know many influencers in the past always came up with like, oh, I want to shed weight, or I want to go through gastric bypass and all of that. And though I am absolutely not criticizing the way that each of them has chosen, my reason are purely personal. I want to put my health back to a better level. I want to be able to do all the things I wanted to do without feeling like I'm losing my breath and all these kind of things. I want to keep the best of myself basically, and for me that is the most important. So today I'm gonna recap those 49 days so at least you have a better idea of what I've been doing over the past 7 weeks. To start with, I have started, so basically I've been contacted on Instagram by a personal trainer company called Blueprint Aesthetic, who offered me actually to do a 7 weeks plan with them. So you need to know that this kind of programs are about like $350 for the 7 weeks, but you do get in return like the whole follow-up with them, exercise every night, a whole meal plan given to you. So every 2 weeks we were changing my diet, etc. And then every night I was receiving different exercise to follow the day after. So more or less that's the way we were working. We also had weekly calls to be sure that I was okay and that things were matching with my expectations. So the first day, so basically to go back from scratch, they contacted me and asked me if I wanted to start this journey with them. The fact of being obviously an influencer on Instagram was also the reason why they contacted me in the first place, and we agreed to do something together because that was the right moment for me to put my life back on track on the weight loss journey. You need to know that I was stable for 7 years, so until now I was actually eating pretty well. I mean, I've always, thanks to my husband, I have learned how to eat better, how to eat food that was helping me and that make me feel less bloated, or that will help my skin and all these kind of things. But I was not losing weight, and after 7 years I felt like I really wanted to reach the next level. So that's the reason why I did it, because I've always been doing sport, I'm pretty active as a person, but I was not automatically losing. I was just stabilizing, which is actually pretty amazing for me who was putting on weight most of my life. But at this stage now I felt like I wanted something different. So when Blueprint Aesthetic contacted me, we agreed that basically what I wanted is more or less to have lost 2 stones by the end of June. So they asked me what I like for food, what was the best for me, what were my favorite food, just to make sure that they could introduce some of the stuff I really like in my diet and not automatically, you know, give me things that I will actually reject or not feel good about, and then I will be hungry all the time, so which is probably the worst thing to do. So to give you an idea first of my preparation, because this is what is the most important, I had to prepare myself first to eat something different. So there's a lot of things that were taken off my diet, which were like carbs in particular, I would say, some vegetables at the beginning, and also a lot of sugar. At the beginning, honestly, I would say I was complaining about it because that's all I know. I mean, I'm French, Italian, we love carbs, we love bread, I love cheese, we love creams and all these kind of things. And even though I was eating pretty healthy, I was probably mixing too much of those stuff on an everyday basis. 3 weeks before starting my program, I actually started calorie counting, and I actually noticed that though I was not automatically eating badly in terms of calorie, I was actually mixing too many of those stuff together, meaning eating too much carbs per day or eating too much fat and sugar. And that's probably the reason why I wasn't losing weight, because I wasn't eating badly, but I was mixing the wrong things together, and that's what made the difference. So thanks to that meal plan, I actually learned how to work on the things that I wanted to associate together and not automatically, you know, just put everything in one dish and think that it's going to be okay. I was putting like avocado everywhere, for example. So we always say that avocado are healthy fats. Well, they are, but it depends the quantity of it, and I was eating it every day probably, so that's one of the reasons, you know. Bread, love bread too much. I was adding bread, which is fine actually ultimately, but I was also eating pasta and rice that same day, you know, and carbs over carbs over carbs at the end were just like making meals that were making no sense. And that was a bit like those kind of issues. So I learned all of that. I learned how to reduce my fats, most importantly, because Mediterranean style, obviously, as I say, French, Italian, putting like olive oil everywhere. I've always had a very Mediterranean kind of lifestyle and diet in general. So when I heard and learned actually that you had 120 calories per spoon of olive oil, I actually understood that this was actually useless calorie that I didn't automatically need in my day. So, you know, it's cutting things like this that I had to change every day, like moving sometimes some oils for coconut oil that is a bit healthier, or from some 1 calorie sprays that you just put in the pan just to make sure that you don't kill the pan, even though I did, to be honest. But little thing like this, or just not putting any fat at all because the meat has its own fat, for example, and that you don't need to put olive oil everywhere. So, you know, it was little changes here and there, and that really helped me, and I started prepping my food this way. And one very, very important thing that I've learned is actually portion control, because what I was not noticing actually was the size of my portions. It's really bad to say it, but I was eating the same as my husband, and maybe it was too kind to say it to me, but yes, it's true. And I have learned lately to change things. Like if he has a big plate, I'm doing the same but in a small plate. And I noticed that everything was psychological, because from the moment I see the plate, I need the plate to be filled up. So if I take a smaller plate, obviously I can fill it up, but there will be still less food. And there was little, you know, changes here and there. The sugar, I don't know, do you know how much we are addicted to sugar? I didn't know. I mean, like, I was not like really having like pure sugar. I was always having like agave syrup or honey or brown sugar instead of white sugar. So because I know all the refined stuff not good for you, etc. But I had to learn how to drink my coffee without sugar, for example, and I didn't think it was possible. I really didn't think it was possible, and now I managed, so it's so satisfying. But now that I'm trying new stuff, I actually understand how addicted I was to sugar, because, you know, a little spoon here, a little spoon there, and all those already made stuff in food also that add sugar. Actually, we consume sugar way more than what we think, and all that knowledge that I gained over the past 7 weeks have forced me to learn how to eat differently, and that's actually a good thing. Also, let's move on to the next point, actually, my workout. So sports, my god, I have never done so much sport in a very, very long time, to be honest with you. I worked out 6 days a week. I don't think I will keep up that much. I'll probably keep 4, but 6 days was 6 days a week was actually a good thing. I really needed to go back into a mood where I felt like I needed sport that much. If I need a workout, how I feel afterwards, how it helps me also shed the weight, there was really a massive difference. And I really enjoyed it. Every night I was receiving new exercise, working on different things like glutes, and also obviously my legs quite a lot, and my core, all the core conditioning. I even had to skip a rope a bit. That was a dramatic try, but anyway, each time I've been complaining about exercise I couldn't do, for example, that I was not feeling like doing, my PTs were always constantly like changing the exercise around just to make sure I could feel comfortable around it. So it was all about sharing and communicating around this, just to make sure, whether it was the diet or the workout, communicating around it was just making sure that I could complete and not give up. Because if you don't feel satisfied about it, or that you feel like constantly you have to, you know, try and feel frustrated about it, then you give up very easily. And that's why I'm actually pretty proud of myself for not giving up, because the old me would have, for sure, knowing myself. So workout, as I say, 6 days a week. I was mixing with long walks also, that I'm doing all the time, mix of like walking and running. I don't run a lot, don't get me wrong, but it was like, you know, 1 minute walking, 1 minute running, so these kind of things I can do, for example, and get back my flexibility, also my body, my stretch, you know, everything that I was doing in the past, that over the past few years I kind of give up and left on the side. So I've always been a sporty person, as I say, but you know, you always find no time for it sometimes. You just get overwhelmed by life in general, and then you tend to put those things on the side, which I did a bit too much. And now I actually enjoy it. Tomorrow the gyms are opening back again in the UK, which is amazing news, and I will stick to at least 4 days a week, just to make sure that my condition and my physical condition gets good and keeps being good, most importantly. One thing also that I actually should mention before that is water, because I know we don't say it enough, but drinking is so important. And for me, I wasn't drinking enough. I mean, like 2-3 glasses a day, that's it. But I've been forced to drink at least 3 liters a day for the past few weeks. And even though I don't manage every day to drink as much, I at least managed to stick to 2 liters. And that made a massive difference, also to shed the weight. Always being hydrated and all of that is so important, and I feel even the difference in my skin and a lot of other things. But I noticed that with the 3 liters of water a day, my portion control, and the sport, I was actually managing to keep a lifestyle that I was really happy with, and I think that was pretty important. So that was a very important part. So please don't forget to drink. If you don't drink enough, it's so important, especially if you're on a journey at the moment. Before we move on to the next point, let me just remind you, if you haven't yet, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel in case you want to see more videos in the future. And also don't forget to go on my Instagram and check my name, Curvy Lexie 28, because I do post quite a lot over there, and you can also see like some pictures that I've been posting on my progress, also on the top of the fashion, but I'm also very interactive in my stories. I'm posting workouts of what I'm doing, so you will see more of it, so on the day-to-day basis. So don't forget, Curvy Lexie 28. Now that we have passed through the preparation of food, portion control, my workout routine, let's talk about tracking actually. So how do I track my progress, etc. So first of all, I think that's important to say that you shouldn't spend your time on the scale. For the reasons of my program, I was on the scale once a week. I noticed very easily that I had a tendency to go obsessive with it. And that's why I tried to control myself and not to, because it was very easy to jump on it every day. And that's not good, because actually you're not really like understanding how much your body can fluctuate over the week. So once a week was enough, and to be honest, now that I'm done with the program, I will probably do it once every 2 weeks, just so I can see some real results over the time coming. And I also measured myself every week, which I would do probably every 2 weeks now, because I don't need to automatically give the results to someone all the time. But I also use something very important for me, which means my Fitbit. So you can see here I have the Versa, the Fitbit Versa, and that was so helpful. I mean, it doesn't matter which brand you're using. I'm actually a massive fan of my Fitbit, but whether you're using an Apple Watch or like just a normal tracker for a watch that will track your steps and everything, I think that's very important you have one, so you give yourself an idea of how you are doing and how you are practicing and working out enough, etc. So very important to keep a minimum of steps a day. I mean 10,000 is what they recommend. I do really believe that it makes a difference. I don't manage to do 10,000 steps every day, but I have changed my lifestyle quite a lot, and the help of my Fitbit has been crazy. Like, I'm not going to work by bus anymore. For example, I'm walking. It's about 25 minutes, but I mean, I've been living close to my work for about 3 years now, and I was constantly taking the bus, and it's 5 minutes by bus, and I couldn't just not do it. So now I'm walking. For example, we've been in lockdown for almost a year and a half now. I'm walking everywhere in the area, in where we live, doing food shopping, everything. That makes a massive difference. So I try to use my tracker and my watch, so every day, to have a look at my steps and what I'm doing, counting them. I'm doing hikes also and long walks with friends on a regular basis. So same thing the other day, like on Friday we went for about 16 kilometers, 16 to 20 at the end by the time I got home, and I did 30,000 steps in one day. I was dead, but I mean, that was a great satisfaction to be able to do that, when I know that just a year ago, before lockdown started, I was absolutely not capable to do so. So it's all little changes, but having a tracker, I'm not talking about calorie tracker, I'm really talking about just the step one and the exercise, the workout, etc. Don't calorie track, because many say that actually they're not that right, and they all calculate differently, so you might get confused by the calorie tracker. But however, track your steps, track the workout, track how long you're moving, and the most important is actually to move your body. I mean, ultimately, as I told you, I was receiving all the time, like every night, new exercises to do, but sometimes I just couldn't do them perfectly, and I was also like trying to do them my way, just to make sure that I could hold on. But what is the most important at the end is to move your body and to shake it and to let the water go, and so you can sweat enough and all of that. That's what matters. It's not automatically about doing everything like as per the letter, you know, and just make it perfect, but you need to shake, you need to move that body all the time to make sure that you don't automatically stock and pile the food and pile on. Sorry, don't know if that was meaning anything, but hey. But anyway, so to finish, 2 last points. My measurements, so basically, and give you the results, because I think that's the most important. In 7 weeks, so as of today, I have lost 6 kilos, so just a little short of a stone. So I think it's 13 pounds point 7 or something, if you want to know exactly. And so 6 kilos are lost. And in terms of measurement, so I've lost 1 centimeters here, but that's not exactly what I was looking to lose anyway, so that's good. I've lost, you can't see much here, but I lost 8 centimeters at the waist, which was probably my biggest achievement, and 5 centimeters at the hips. So these are my results as of today and in 7 weeks. And the massive change was the waist, to be honest with you. As soon as I started working out again, I could see my my waist changing like automatically, honestly. At the beginning I lost all the water especially, but then little by little I could see like the shape redefining, and that's really what I was looking for. So that's the most important. I still have work to do, I'm far from being done, but I know that I'm there, and I still have, as I say, have probably at least a good stone and a half still left to lose. So that's the most important, but at least this time I have the motivation and I know I am on the right way. And one last point that is so important is to have the right support system. And I think it's so important to mention it, because it's a journey, it's long, it's difficult sometimes, and you need motivation constantly, and it's important to surround yourself with the right people and to have people around you that are capable to motivate you, and not automatically neither to try to either put you down or asking all the wrong questions just to make sure that they make you doubt. You need to make sure that what you do is for yourself and not for the others, and that you're happy with it. And I'm lucky because actually most of my friends are actually on a similar journey, which is pretty cool. And my husband also has always motivated me a lot, and this has no price. I mean, he's working out with me. We go out and he motivates me when I need to. He helps me with the portions, with the ideas, with everything that I need to do. And honestly, well, he will watch this video anyway, so I need to say thank you for that, because I know it's a luck that not everybody has. And also to my friends, I will also say thank you, because I'm far away from my family, unfortunately, compared to some. I'm living 2,000 kilometers away, so I can't say that I have my family all the time to support me, unfortunately. So even though they do, but by text and phone, so it's not the same as having people around. But I managed to find friends here that became family, and that makes a massive difference, and they help me all the time to keep on track. So I hope you have those people around you too. Anyway, I think I have covered everything. I'm very sorry for the long video, but as I mentioned, it was 7 weeks, and I thought it was important to track basically everything I've been doing over the past few weeks and give you the result of it. Thank you to all of you also for all the support you have given me, because through my Instagram, my YouTube, etc., always motivating me. I really appreciated it. And also a special thank you to Blueprint Aesthetic for everything they've been doing also for the past 7 weeks with me, because now I feel that I'm ready for the future, and I will keep showing you my progress, and I hope you are ready for it. Sorry. So you take care. Thank you again, and thanks for watching this video. And I'm gonna repeat one last time, don't forget to subscribe, please, and leave me comments. Share your journey. Yeah, tell me about it. Tell me about your journey. How do you feel? Did you have similar journey? What have you used? Which programs did you go through? Like programs like Weight Watchers, Slimming World, and all of that. Did you do it all yourself? I want to know everything. So leave comments below, and go also on my Instagram where you can see more about the journey itself. Okay, so that's it for today. You take care, and we'll speak to you soon. Okay, bye.